They want to have 2026 to be their year where they acquire their first lifestyle asset. They want this to be their year. What could be a realistic timeline for them? Is it should they let me kind of try and walk through this mindset. Should they be thinking, let's try to buy this thing by Q1, and by the beginning of Q4, let's have this thing launched. That way we can have the tax benefits at the end of the year. Is that a realistic thing, or could you try and shrink that into 6 months? Depending on is that
it's 100% realistic. It can be shrunk into probably 2 or 3 months.
Wow.
When we ran a poll from our group, 58% of our members were under contract within 60 days, and then 78% of our members were under contract within 90 days.
Wow.
So you can absolutely accelerate that progress, right? And so it's going to be somewhere in that 3-month, maybe 6-month range that you're like, hey, listen, what does it take me to acquire that property? And then I need a month or so, maybe 2, to get it set up and launched.
Okay.
And so it's really identifying the buy box. When you're buying real estate, you hear a lot of people talk about the buy box. Right? Identifying what we call property goals. What are our property goals? What does my buy box look like? And then being patient enough to, one, be looking at enough properties, making enough offers on those properties that fit within that property goal guideline. And then ultimately being able to say no to the ones that don't. Because in real estate, things can happen really fast. We might identify this. I go through, I plan out what I'm really trying to do. I understand the game I'm playing. I have all the resources. I select my market. I identify my buy box, and then boom, the right property shows up on our lap right out of the gate. There's other times where you have to be patient, and that's a very realistic scenario where you could be in a market with low inventory, low options, and all of a sudden you're sitting there for 3 or 6 months, and you're really not even being able to make offers because you're not finding anything. So real estate is a game of patience. Period. Right? We're buying properties to put in our portfolio for the long term. So I don't just want to go buy garbage, because if I'm going to have to be sleeping with that garbage for a long period of time, all of a sudden it's not that fun, right? And so I don't want to. I'm going to be patient enough. So the realistic timing is based on what opportunities are presented to you. But guess what? Opportunity doesn't show up wrapped in really nice wrapping paper with a bow on it, with a tag that says opportunity. Right? And so that's what people think happens. You have to train yourself to recognize those opportunities, because it shows up pretty beat down, run down, not optimized. And you have to be able to see the opportunity in it. There are a lot of times diamonds in the rough. It doesn't mean they're always fix and flip type properties. That's not what I'm saying. There's a lot of beautiful properties that are short-term rentals that are completely underperforming, that we have to recognize. Is there potential for that one to perform, or is there not potential for that one to perform?
Okay, so
timing is all about basically just being able to recognize and take advantage of the opportunities when they come to you. Some markets, it might come to you faster than other markets. Other markets, you're sitting there waiting. There's certain markets that are very difficult based on the acquisition price and the revenue that they're going to generate, that you might be sitting there for a year waiting for the right property. But usually those are the highest quality markets. And so highest appreciating markets. So kind of think about your more expensive kind of Class A resort towns that are expensive to buy into. A lot of people go to them, but the ratio between acquisition and revenue is not really favorable. So you might just sit there and wait for that right property in that perfect market to show up. But most markets, you're going to have opportunities to see. But a lot of new investors, they don't train themselves to recognize those opportunities. So they can either be jumping into the wrong stuff or they're waiting for a long time.
Is it smart to have multiple markets that you're looking at, or should you just stick with one?
It's very hard. Because the opportunity looks different in every market. It's understanding the fundamentals of what makes short-term rentals work, but every market has its own nuances. You're going to learn the good side of the tracks, the bad side of the tracks, exactly where you'll dial in that proximity. Do I need to be, how close to the ski hill do I need to be? How close to the national parks do I need to be? How close to the beach do I need to be? Right? It's really obvious if I'm beachfront, ski hill, like ski in, ski out, or I'm right at the doors of the national park. But every one of those markets has these areas that you get further and further out from. Also, I always tell people, never look at more than 2 to 3 markets at a time. Because you will just, as you know, we do this all day, every day. Jacob Payne, our acquisitions manager, is always looking at markets. He's analyzing deals all across the country every single day. But when we're in acquisition mode, he's really dialed into 2 or 3 maximum at a time. And because he needs to be able to recognize those opportunities. And until he sees enough properties and sees enough of what's going on, the little nuances in the local markets, it's difficult for him to recognize that. And so I tell that with investors all the time. So I suggest one market, maybe 2. 3 is really stretching it unless you've done this a few times.
Okay.